Hi guys, Jay Smith here, down at Bury Golf Range in Suffolk, and today I've been spoilt because I got a lot of testing to do, and it's in the form of JPX919 from Mizuno, their new replacement for the 900s. So I've been going for a couple of years now. The good thing with Mizuno and such things like Titleist and Ping to a certain extent, they have a decent life cycle to their irons. Other manufacturers have in the past tended to release irons very quickly, and drivers, etc. But for Mizuno, they try and stick to their 2-year life cycle. So the 900s are out, the 919s are in, and it's the time of the hot metal. Now, we're going to do a slightly different part to the review. Now, rather than me hitting range balls and me letting you know how they feel, etc., I've done some hitting and bits and pieces so you can, I'm just going to describe how they feel. Now, I've got two different ones. I've got them in the pitching wedge and the 6-iron, and the pitching wedge is 45 degrees, no real problems in that. The 6-iron is 26 degrees. Now 26 degrees is the most strongest, I believe, lofted 6-iron Mizuno have ever made, ever. So it'd be interesting to see obviously how far this goes when we hit it on GC2 HMT, because our quad is in for repair. It's poorly, but it won't make a difference anything to the numbers, etc. But with my Game Ball Vice Pro, see how premium balls work on it. Anyway, so the design of the heads. Now, I'm not going to go too much into details to the exact design preferences of all this, because Mizuno have gone mental. The last 2 years, they have spent just countless hours trying to make the JPX 900 in the 919 that much better. Now, you'd have to test for your own perspective to see if it's that much better, but what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into looks and design, yeah, then we go feel, and then performance at the end, obviously when we do the numbers. But for looks and design, right, okay, I've got them both down here. Looks, from what you can see, compared to the 900, if anything, they don't look so chunky. Now they've got this little chromed bit down the back, which does make the back look less thick. It's obviously it's still thick. It's just a case of with the chroming on the bottom, it does give that illusion that it's not as thick as it is, but it's still got plenty of help. You've got this interesting little, it's undercut. It looks weird because Mizuno have never done this before, I don't think, but they've got this little undercut at the top. Now I'll put it on screen so you can see it goes all the way through, and I've got this in the pitching wedge and also the 6, and it's very visible in both. So what they're trying to do there is they're trying to strip weight from every single part of the iron that they can do to redistribute that weight in places where they want it. Now, there is loads and loads of marketing gumph, I won't lie to you. I'm not going to stick it up all on the screen because you'll be bored. You don't really need to know it, but all you basically need to know is with these clubs, these are game improvements. These are the ones where if you're a high handicap golfer, this is what you're going to be hopefully looking at to get if you struggle with strike. They're pulling weight off every single part they can to try and redistribute it in an area which is going to be as helpful to you. The face is as thin as it ever has been, it's as springy as it ever has been. They are going crazy when it comes to these. This is the same material that they had in the old one, the JPX 900, the CHROMoly or CHROMoly, it depends on which part of the world you come from. 41, 40, yeah, we can get into that if you really want to, but it is a bit boring. Anyway, it's supposed to be strong, it's supposed to be springy, and it's supposed to do its job. Now, I've been hitting this on GC2, and just to hit some balls just on there so you can see when I was just hitting some shots. We'll go necessarily into the performance side in a little bit, but the feel in itself, just the feel, from a game improvement club, this has got to be one of the nicest feeling game improvement clubs I have ever hit. Ever hit. Now, it's not the standard 1025E soft forging stainless steel that Mizuno use in their MP lines, but I tell you what, how they've managed to get the blend of explosive power, what you want to call it, but the feel, it feels as soft as a lot of people's forgings. Now, I was really surprised. Going from a JPX 900 to a 919, there is a distinct difference between the two. The 919s are a lot softer. Feel. Remember guys, that's sound mostly. So when I'm hitting it with my Game Ball Vice Pro, I'm feeling, I can hear a definitely softer sound, which makes it feel nicer, but then you still get that explosive pop, because these things do fire. They really, really do fire. Now we're going to go into the numbers in a minute to show you how well these things fire, but from the looks and design of how it is, you'd have to give this one, considering this is a game improvement club, this is not designed for the low handicapper unless you can't strike it very well. This is designed to be helpful. Now considering help normally comes in the version of chunk, the blade lengths aren't too long at all. They're not too long at all. The top lines are a little bit thick to obviously encourage confidence, but it's nowhere near offensive. The sole, the bottom lines of the sole, again you have that little chromy bit, which does make it look thinner than it actually is, but it is very helpful. You can see the thickness of that. That will have some help. If you do have a tendency to get a little bit groundy before the ball, having that massive sole will help not digging in. What is interesting enough though, is I was looking at the specs of these things. The 6-iron has got 0 bounce. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Pitching wedge's got about 5 degrees, and then the 5 and 4 has got nothing as well. Now I was surprised, because if you go to something like a ping irons generally have quite a decent amount of bounce, but for some reason, and the bounce is this little bit underneath here, so the difference between obviously at the loft and then you got this angle here, got no bounce whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting to see how, when game improvement guys use it, how their interaction with the turf is going to be. Well, you'd have to test, because I can't test every conceivable permutation of how someone can hit a golf ball, so you'd have to go test, but it'd be interesting to see. Personally, I have found no issue with it, but again, I'm not for this kind of club. Anyway, so at the moment I would say 9 when it comes to design and looks, because for a game improvement club it is a very, very pretty club. I do like that club. I mean, it hasn't got a lot of offset. So what I'm saying is, it's not one of these ones where it looks really ugly because of the offset. It's actually quite a good looking game improvement club. Right, feel, yes, that's definitely a 9. Definitely a 9. They are lovely to hit. These are gorgeous. Now we're going to go do on performance now. So we're going to go hit on our GC2 HMT Poly Quad on my Game Ball Vice Pro, and we're going to go see how these actually perform. Right guys, it's numbers time. I've hit a load of shots, bunch of shots, loads of shots. I've got the pitching wedge and the 6-iron in this, 45 degrees and 26 degrees. Now Mizuno are making large claims about the longer irons, the more to do with like the 6s, etc., and going up, because they have to a certain extent been left behind, if you want to call it that way, in the distance sector when it comes to the hot metals of the past couple of years, because everyone's starting to push this trend towards distance. Yeah, and I don't like it, but the market is there, so of course every manufacturer, because of what they want a market share, is going to be the same thing. Anyway, right, okay, pitching wedge first, because I've got the pitching wedge and the 6-iron. I've hit a load of shots, so I'm going to be knackered by the end of today. Right, okay, let's just do ball data first for the pitching wedge. 99 miles an hour, 22.3 launch, so it's launching. Now bearing in mind that's got 45 degrees of loft, but it doesn't necessarily launch that way. So yeah, there's a difference between obviously dynamic loft and ball dynamics, and yeah, we could get into that conversation, but it'd be massively long. So tiny little draws that you can see there, on average 9.5 spin, which is okay. There's nothing bad about that whatsoever. It's anything between 9,000 and 10,000 for a pitching wedge is healthy, very, very healthy. Peak height 28. Now when it comes to my pitching wedges, and alike, when it comes to wedges, I am someone which flights the ball slightly lower than I should do. And bearing in mind, guys, I will also put this out here before we get to the club head data. I've got a lot of testing to do today. I've got a ton of testing, and I am going to be knackered because I've got 2 of the hot metals, 3 of the forged, and 3 of the tours, although I don't know if I'm going to do the 3-iron and the tour, because I think that would just be pointless, but I've got a lot of testing to do. So I am dialing my speed slightly down. 2 reasons. 1, so it preserves me when it comes to doing all this test. I can keep the speed throughout the whole time as best I can do to try and keep because this is a family, remember? These clubs are a family. You can blend these to a certain extent. When it comes to doing your custom fitting, you should be looking at necessarily not just going, oh, I want a set of these and a set of that. You could potentially blend them in, but that's a different story. But that's the whole idea. So I'm going to try as best I can do to try and keep it as comparable as possible. 2, you guys don't swing it as fast as me. If I was to count how many comments I have had when I have reviewed any club, and the first thing they say is, well, that's all right for you because you swing it at 90 something miles an hour and the average golfer does not swing it that fast. And you are 100% right. So I am trying as best I can do to, if I dial down my speed a little bit, 1, I can preserve myself, but then 2, it gives you guys a slightly better understanding of what happens when you don't swing. I mean, obviously I'm still swinging faster than you guys, but you can kind of get an idea as best you can do. Anyway, so peak height's 28, which is not high, which is not low, but I flight them down, remember. On average 127, so from a 45 degree club, that's no different at all to what my 45 degree pitching wedge does. It carries within 1 yard of exactly the same, so there's no issue whatsoever there. Descent angle's nice, with a spin, that will stop. Remember guys, it's descent angle which stops the ball, not necessarily spin. So don't get your knickers in a twist when it comes to a point of low spinning clubs. Low spinning clubs, there is a point to them, but as long as they're descending okay, at a decent angle, the descent angle will stop them rather than the spin. Spinning is for distance control, different story. So the pitching wedge in the Hot Metal is working exactly how I would expect it to work. If I go quickly over to club head data, swinging at 87, you can see I move around a little bit there. I'm attacking it down by about 7 degrees, which I'm getting into wedge territory, which I do then start getting that decent sized divot, shall we say. Slightly drawy path because my ball position has gone slightly further back, and then my facing closing to path, little draw. These aren't quite custom fit for me, they're a couple of degrees out, hence the reason 1.9. If you look at that, the dynamic loft, 34.5 degrees. Now I'm de-lofting that by 10 degrees. And then obviously you can see that that's now launching then at 22, so you can see necessarily there's a difference between launch and dynamic loft, ball dynamics, club dynamics. Right, oh, let's go, it flicked over. But yeah, so my average strike was 3 mil toe, 4 mil low, but you can see that I move around a bit. So if you go by the strikes, you can see I'm moving about. Now I do find I move about anyway because it's a big club head. Now I found that out before, that when I have a slightly bigger club head, I start to lose the focus on strike. Where I've got a small blade, my focus is very so much on strike, but that's just me, and you'd have to test yourself to see if you are similar. But from the pitching wedge, it performs lovely. It feels gorgeous, really. From a game improvement club, it feels lovely. Anyway, right, let's go to the 6-iron. The all-important 6-iron. The 6-iron, Mizuno are really crazing about the technology within these clubs. They've pushed the boat out something crazy when it comes to the design of them. They've done very well because just purely because of the feel. From a game improvement club, it feels gorgeous. I cannot stress enough how a game improvement club, the CHROMoly Hot Metal, it feels lovely. Performance wise though, ball speed 125, which is healthy, absolutely healthy. Launching 15.3, which is a fraction lower than I would have thought, but that's still fine. Baby little draws, spinning very well. So bear in mind, this is a 26 degree 6-iron, which is less than what my 5-iron was. Yeah, but that's still spinning at 5,000. So I tell you what, they have, how they're moving CG in this to try and make it as forgiving as possible is very good, because they're still maintaining the spin. Because it's launching, so I need to go on, I'll need to do later on to see how much dynamic loft I'm delivering, because bear in mind I am trying to tailor myself today because I've got a lot of stuff to do, so I'm not going to be hitting these full out, well not the full out, but my normal 80% all the way through, because I'm going to get lots of testing, I'll be knackered. But peak height 31, you can see that it moves around. It does, it moves around a little bit depending on my strike, but 31 is okay. It's one thing about the 900, the normal 900, the first thing that popped in my head was, wow, they go high. And it was because I've been like testing MPs and stuff like that, and you hit the old Hot Metal and they go substantially higher. These ones are sitting around a 31, which is not high, not low by any stretch of the imagination, but it's sitting in that middle bracket, and you can see they're depending on strike. I move around. I mean, I've got right scabby strike in that, but it's really interesting there. I got a shot there, it was 117 miles an hour ball speed, and then 24. I mean, that, if I was to take that out, doesn't really do much, does it? No, it doesn't really do much to it. There's so much data there. You can see that's the benefit of doing a large data set. You can have one shot in there and it doesn't really blur it at all. So yeah, you can see what happens when I don't quite strike it right. But on average, they're going like 184 yards if I take that one out, and like 0.9 off of target. So yeah, descendant of 44.3. That's borderline functional. Now, I am not trying to hit this high. I am trying as best I can do to save myself because I've got a lot of testing. But if you go by the club head data, on average 92. So I'm a couple to 3 mile an hour short of what I normally am. The Mizuno, the new Mizunos, they're a 1/4 inch longer than the old Mizuno standard because everyone's going that way. But just a little thing in your head. 3.7 down on average, a little out to the right as in my drawy path, very very tiny, like 1.1 degrees, but then face closed to path. Club light, they're not fit for me as you can see, but well, these are like media sets. You get what you're given to a certain extent. There's only specialist things that you can actually get them already custom fit for you, but from a testing point of view it's fine. But look, club loft 19 degrees, this is 26 degrees. I'm de-lofting it necessarily by 7, so there's only 1 degree difference between this and the old one. Old one was 27, this is 26, but with a lot more punch to it. Mizuno have got to a point where they're getting very very close to what they can do legally with these faces being as thin as they are, which is an amazing thing to see what they've done to the faces. But yeah, 2 mil low, 2 mil toe, 1 mil low. I can't complain with the performance of this thing. You see by the strikes, you see that one. Oh, that was terrible. That one there, 9 mil heel, 11 mil low. If you were to take that one out and just don't deselect it, and you can see there the strikes generally speaking aren't too bad for the 6 iron, but you can see there what happens when you do strike it a bit poor. You get an instant drop off. Now that's golf. So strike still does rule, but you can still see that I don't hit 0-0 all the time. I still wander a little bit, and considering the performance, it's very very good. I would say necessarily for performance alone, I'd have to give that a 9.5 out of 10 if I was to give it a number. Now obviously if I was to swing full out, not full out, but my normal 80%, but I've got a lot of testing to do, keep saying it, then this would go even further. This is 184 under normal circumstances. Now if I was to do my normal 94-95 mile an hour swing, these are getting into the 190s for a 6 iron. So when it comes to performance, it is flying, and it would then go up slightly higher and then peak slightly more, descending angle slightly more as well, so it'd be even more functional. So you'd have to go test. I really do like this. The one thing that really pops out of everything else is the feel of it. It feels gorgeous, it feels lovely, and it is a pleasure to do. And if I did use 4 irons, which I don't, I use hybrids, that would be something that I would definitely go towards because of the forgiveness of it. You can see there look how straight it is. I had 1 there or 2 there that go a little bit left, 1 that went, well, I can't even call that right. They're all, that distance, they're all banging down the target line. I like it. Right. Hope you liked the video. If you did, click the old like button below. Comment below with what you would like to see to get this compared against something else. Subscribe, either side of me, whichever one it's going to be, probably that one. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you again soon.